Hello and welcome back to a WCRA Wednesday live stream. Sorry we missed you last week. We were in planning meetings. Lord help us all. We were in planning meetings all last week, and so a lot of water has gone under the bridge in the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of activity in WCRA land, and there's been some good ropings, some good events, and we want to answer some questions for y'all. We've had a lot of questions from the field. And so just from a high level, today I have Bobby Moat, president of WCRA, with us from his truck on his way back from Fort Worth. How's it going, Bobby?
Going good. Thank you.
Good. And Sammy Joe Smith coming to us from Wyoming. And Sammy Joe just got promoted and has a new title, which she is very deserving of, which is Associate Vice President of Athlete. What is it, Sammy Jo?
Athlete Initiatives.
Athlete Initiatives. So internally, Sammy Jo advocates for athletes, for cowboys and cowgirls, and we love her. She's a tenured part of the team, and just celebrated her 2-year anniversary with WCRA. Correct, Sammy Jo?
Yep.
And there's really no way that anything could happen in our company without Sammy Jo. So we got to get right down to it. We're going to talk about expanded points, the history of expanded points, how to enter as a challenger, enter the Women's Rodeo World Championships as a challenger. There's some nuances to that. Sammy Jo is going to walk us through that. Upcoming expanded point opportunities, a couple of events that you're going to be able to participate in to take advantage of expanded points for segment W20. And then we're just going to go over as a high level again, the Women's Rodeo World Championships and why you need to be there, why you need to get on the leaderboard on the WCRA side, and why you should enter the open side. And just to remind you, it's a $750,000 guaranteed added money. It's going to pay $60,000 for first place in 4 disciplines. Where's my fingers? There they are. Heeling, heading, breakaway roping, and barrel racing. Can't forget barrel racing. And a $20,000 all-around bonus. A beautiful all-around saddle is going to be provided to the all-around champion winner from Coat Saddlery. We're super excited about that, super proud of that, and thankful to them for getting involved. And so why don't I just turn it over to you, Bobby, and you can talk about expanded points and the history and kind of where we are today in expanded point land.
All right. Well, thank you, JD. Well, I would like to start first by saying if rodeo and these rodeo events were perfect and good enough, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And I believe, and everybody on our team believes, that there's a lot of really great things about rodeo, but there's room for improvement. But anytime that you start to venture off into uncharted territory, there's no map, there's no blueprint. And so I'm about trying to make positive change and affect it pretty quickly, rather than just say, well, let's try this, let's implement it for a couple years, see how it goes. And, nobody has the patience for that. If we're going to be successful and we're going to be able to make women's professional rodeo what it should be, and quite frankly hasn't been served well enough to date, then we're going to have to try some new things. And so expanded points came about as a way to say, we take feedback, and Sammy Jo, more than anybody else on the team, has fielded thousands of phone calls from people who say, I have an idea, or have you thought about, or why did you, and she takes those phone calls and she deals with the people, and then she calls us or she emails us and she said, here's the feedback that we're getting. The feedback says, we're spending this money nominating. We're going to a one header, and this one header, we paid a $50 or $100 or $200 nomination, and I finished 5th and I didn't gain points. And so it's not sustainable. And so expanded points is basically like, we hear you loud and clear. We understand that you're spending your money, you're trying to go places and earn points, and it doesn't, the draw doesn't always go your way or whatever. And so we said, let's come up with a point system that we can implement at the right places that rewards consistency. So if you're just out of the money, but you still finished, say it pays 8 monies and you finish 9th, you should get more points than 10th did. And so that's the idea behind it. And so we rolled it out last year with our partners at the All In Barrel Race and All In Breakaway Roping. And that was not for the women's segment, but it was for the, I think the Kansas City segment. And so a lot of people who weren't on the leaderboard got in. And so the idea of all of this, if we're going to get more money and more opportunities in rodeo, and specifically women's professional rodeo, we've got to get more people doing it. And so, it has to appeal to a broader group of people. It can't just be, there's a select group of ladies in every discipline that are like excellent at what they do, and they treat it like they're professionals, because they are. But then that's a pretty small group of people. And there's a lot of other people who may have the skill or the ability to be there, but they have families, they have jobs, they have careers, things that prevent them from being able to just spend all day in the practice pen or working on their craft. And so we understand that we've got to figure out a way to get all these people in the system. And so expanded points is one of those things, and obviously the topic of this discussion today. So we rolled it out, as I mentioned, last year in December at the All In Breakaway Roping and Barrel Race. It went good. I think largely a lot of people earned points and didn't understand they maybe got points when they didn't win a check. But regardless, then we've been working with producers, and we've been trying to find the right fit to roll it out again. So the Northern Breakaway Championships and Northern Breakaway Team Roping Championships occurred at Rapid City 2 weeks ago, I think. And anyways, they've worked with us all along the way of our planning for this, Women's Rodeo World Championship. And we take the entry fees. We built in a discounted nomination fee, so it was a fraction of what it had been retail. Everybody who entered was nominated. And then what was substantial about that specific event was their format had 2 full rounds, 2 full paid rounds, a short round, and an average. They awarded something like 78 checks up there between the breakaway roping and the team roping. So a lot of ladies went, a lot of ladies won money and prizes, and a lot of people won and earned points. And so I'll just stand out in the front of this and say that should we have done a better job of communicating that there was going to be expanded points awarded up there? Yes, we should have. You all went on a Facebook Live that happened a couple weeks prior to, and you explained expanded points. You flashed some graphs up on the screen and explained what they were, and did a good job. And then we didn't put any graphics out there. We didn't specifically address, hey, the NBC Breakaway Roping is going to have expanded points. Come and get you some. And so we should have. And admittedly, having really great communication has been a challenge, because everything that we're doing is new. And so it's like you got a pipe this big and you're trying to fit this much information through it. And so that's what we deal with every day. And it's just like, what do we want to address today? And so I don't think fall through the cracks is maybe the right term to use, but we didn't just spend a lot of time focusing on what the opportunity was. So after the event, a lot of people who won, placed or was just out of placing, earned a lot of points mainly because of the format, because your average team roping, 3 full rounds or 3 rounds, progressive after 1, short round, and an average. Most of them pay 4 places in the average. So not a lot of points available. The NBC having 2 full paid rounds, a short round, and an average, that's where it was so substantial, was because there were all these chances to earn money. And the WCRA VRQ awards points in paid positions. And so if a round pays money, so for instance up there, first round paid money, second round paid money, short round did not, average did. And so they earn money, or they earn points in all those. The great thing about it is it shows us that there's demand for this sort of thing. And so what my vision is, and what all of our vision is we're starting this out as $750,000 payout, guaranteed payout at the Women's Rodeo World Championship. That's not been done before. The winners of every discipline are going to win $60,000, and a lot of people are going to win good checks. And so if you said, is that as good as it can get? I would say not even close. I think it could get a lot better, but it's going to revolve around, participation. People are going to have to do it, and we're going to have to figure out new ways of thinking about things and new ways of growing the sport to get a lot of people involved so that we can pay millions. And I don't think that that's far-fetched at all, and nobody on our team does either. I think that that's really attainable. So, in order to do that, we need more producers throughout the year to recognize the amazing talent that these women, professional and non-professional rodeo athletes have. And we need to have more of them step up and do what they did up in Rapid City and add money and have a challenger team roping and challenger breakaway roping and an open, and add money to both of them, and not just say, we've talked to some producers that are like, shucks, yeah, we'll put on an all-girl roping for you. And, it's not tied to anything. It's sort of inconsequential. And so it doesn't mean anything. But I believe that even with women's team roping, that if we can tie it to something substantial like these fast track qualifications with expanded points, so that everybody says, hey, there's one going on in, any town USA, I'm going to make a point to go there and enter because I know I can earn a lot of points and I could punch my ticket to Las Vegas. Then those producers will recognize it, and they'll say at some point they'll be competing for the women's business. Like, where are they going to go rope? And so somebody's going to have to start adding some money. And so, I think that up in Rapid City, they led the charge on that, and they showed other producers what could happen. They saw a 58% increase in their breakaway roping, and everything in the team roping was new. And so they had a great turnout, and I think it's all reflection on them doing a great job, having a great format, and the benefits that we were able to offer having it tied to the Women's Rodeo World Championship.
Yeah, Bobby, can I add in here too that for the expanded points, like providing the opportunity for more athletes to earn more points, the number of athletes we added to our leaderboard from that one event, I just want to break out these numbers really quick. So in the breakaway roping, we added 82 new athletes to the leaderboard for the women's segment, 23 new headers, and 15 new heelers. And so we've now exceeded the 64 limit in all 4 disciplines for the women's event. And I just think, the fact that we added that many new competitors that are eligible to compete at this $750,000 guaranteed event that we're putting on speaks the volumes too, right, to what these events are creating for the sport.
Well, and people ought to know that, when we started talking to industry leaders prior to launching the Women's Rodeo World Championship, talk about team roping, for instance, there are industry leaders who didn't believe that the ladies would step up and do it. They're like, there's a dozen here and a dozen there, and that's about it. And so I go to some team roping jackpots and I see them, and, there's not as many as I think could be or would be. And if you look at breakaway roping, once they created incentive, once we said Jackie Crawford won $50,000 at Chicago, and we treat breakaway ropers the same as we do tie down ropers or bareback riders or anybody else, and others started to follow suit, now breakaway roping has exploded. And I'm not trying to take all the credit, but I'm just saying as an example. So what happens when team roping does the same thing? There's lots of these ladies that breakaway rope that don't team rope anymore, because it's like, why have another horse around if I can't go breakaway on him? Well, now if you head good, or especially if you heel good, there's opportunities abound. And so I think that, this is the very beginning of that, but it's, we all have to sort of share that vision.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit about, sorry, I was off to something else. So upcoming events. I mean, is there anything else? I'm looking for comments. If anybody has any questions, please ask them.
I think, Bobby, it might be good before we talk about the upcoming events for this segment. Do you want to just talk about the vision of, where we're going for 2021 with this?
Right. So I want to be able to standardize what a fast track qualifier is. And so is my feed good? There we go.
It's good.
So we'd like to be able, so part of the reason why we skipped around a little bit and we've tried several things is because it's important that next year, 2021, see, we didn't even have a full year this year. We bit off a pretty good chunk when we said 750,000 guaranteed, and then we didn't have much runway. And then you throw COVID in the mix when there's not a lot of places to go. And fortunately, the women have been understanding and supportive of what we're doing. And so they've been nominating and they've been going and trying to learn, which is it's all new. And so, if somebody doesn't know or doesn't understand, anybody on our team, and there's a lot of different ways of reaching us, is happy to try to answer your questions. And so, but as far as next year goes, like, we've been working to try to find what the right mix was to have an event, so that if we have, so there's 16 fast track qualifiers the way it's set up this year. And just really quickly to go through the format, the main event is where the big money's paid out at. All the qualifying rounds, there's different ways to get in there. That's through the leaderboard, through open entries, where it's either open or challenger. And then there's the fast track qualifier. And that's basically a guaranteed qualification or an earned exemption to this fast track round. The fast track round will consist of 2 rounds of competition. The top 4 will advance right to the main event. And then those that don't advance to the main event will basically get a mulligan. They'll start over and they'll go right to the WCRA leaderboard with a clean slate again and have an equal opportunity to advance down through the progressive round and into the main event. And so these fast track qualifications, which is in your upper left corner, the plan for 2021 is that events just like we saw with the Northern Breakaway Championship, or events that are upcoming this year, the Oklahoma's Richest that Chris Neal's producing, those events, I want to have a standard entry fee at them, or within, plus or minus $75 to $100. The entries go through entrytool.com. The discounted nomination is built into the entry. Expanded points are awarded, and the winner of open and or challenger will advance to the fast track qualifier. But there's not going to be a lot of them. There could be up to 16 next year. But we're going to hold our producer partners that we work with to a little bit higher standard on these events, and say the format needs to be 2 full rounds, a short round and an average, and paid on rounds. And we're looking for added money. We're currently meeting with producers right now that are talking about adding a lot of money for some events next year, and it's really exciting because it's all newfound money to the sport of women's professional rodeo. So I just think that it's a fantastic opportunity.
Absolutely.
You have anything you would like to add, Sammy Joe?
It looks like Jim Wakefield asked, and Bobby just kind of hit on that, the parameters for an event. And I would just also add, for anybody interested that may already be an alliance partner or would like to become an alliance partner, you can email our team, rsmets@wcrarodeo.com or support@wcrarodeo.com, and we can help answer your questions and hopefully create an alliance agreement with you. So
talking about our producer to come in this current segment, we have a couple producers who are great partners of ours. Kenny Zamora, they're hosting an event in Decatur, Texas, October 9th, the Fall Championships, and this is going to be in the team roping. they'll award expanded points. And so this is another opportunity for our team ropers to go there and not only earn a fast track qualification, but also earn expanded points, and it'll make a difference in that leaderboard. And so if you'll notice that he has a challenger. And so to be clear, in the team roping, a challenger is a 9.5. It's a separate roping, a 9.5 capped at a 5. So a 5 header, a 5 heeler is as high as you can go. 9.5 global handicaps. Everybody has to have a current membership in global handicaps, and same format, 2 full rounds, an average, or a short round and an average. And then there's the open. Anybody who's, a challenger can still enter the open, but the open girls can't enter the challenger. So the idea is it gives an opportunity for them to compete and not have to beat the wolves in the first roping of the day or the second roping of the day. And so, but that entry fee is $250, and it's pick one, draw one, 2 full rounds and a short. Your nominations included in that. And so both of your partners, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to earn points. And so I would urge any of the team ropers who, whether you're on the leaderboard or would like to be on the leaderboard, it's an opportunity to get a good jump on the leaderboard going into the Women's Rodeo World Championship close to the end of the segment. Another upcoming one is the Oklahoma's Richest, and so that'll be breakaway roping, and again, a challenger and an open. And so those ladies will be competing for a lot of money there. Great roping. Chris Neal's known for putting on these, fantastic breakaway ropings, and as well as expanded points and a fast track qualification.
Great,
JD.
We got a few more questions here. Tammy Joe's trying to take over my screen, weren't you?
I didn't realize I must be logged in as you. I'm sorry, but Cheyenne was asking, how do I qualify for a challenger? And I was going to queue up my screen that we can actually just show really quick.
Why don't you?
What the parameters are. Sorry about that, everybody.
That's all right.
All right. I've talked a lot about expanded points. Sammy Joe, do you want to explain? We kind of skipped right over what a challenger is. And so.
Right, exactly. So our team, if you go to we'll share this link in the comments. That might be the easiest. But we have a web page here that describes in great detail what it means to be a challenger in each discipline. Bobby already touched on the team roping is based on your global handicap number. For the night, it's a 9.5 capped at a 5 for the header and heeler. But then in the barrel racing, you'll see these earnings here. It's broken down by each year. So if you are below all 3 of these earnings in each year, you're considered a challenger in the barrel race. So 2020, 2019, and 2018, if your earnings were below $30,000, you can consider yourself a challenger and you can enter as a challenger. In the breakaway roping, for 2020, it's $8,000. For 2019, it's $7,000. And for 2018, it's $5,000. And so how this applies to the Women's Rodeo World Championship, well, first of all, let's actually talk about these producer events coming up. So Bobby just talked about the Oklahoma's Richest breakaway roping and the Kenny Zamora team roping event will both have these challenger ropings. And so our team helps verify these earnings. And if you have any questions, whether you are a challenger or not, you can reach out to our team at support@wcrarodeo.com. You can see it scrolling right now, or you can call us and we can help verify that. There's also a form on this page that you can fill out, and our team can just email you right back to verify whether you're classified as a pro or a challenger. And so then as you progress and you're eligible to compete, so the challenger, let me get my thoughts together, I'm sorry. For the Women's Rodeo World Championship, the challenger is only in the open to the world pool. So right now, anybody can go to entrytool.com, as you see on the screen right here. You can use your same login as the VRQ to log into EntryTool, and you'll see listed here the Open to the World Pro Pool and the Open to the World Challenger Pool. So there, for entry guidelines, anyone can enter the Open to the World up to 2 times. If you're a pro, you're gonna, you can only enter up to 2 times in that pro pool up here. But if you're a challenger, you have the choice. You can choose to enter 2 times in this challenger pool. You could choose, hey, I want to rope 1 time in the challenger and 1 time in the pro pool. Or you could say, I really want to be in that pro pool and enter 2 times there. So you're capped at 2 total, max out at 2 total entries. And if you're a challenger, you have the option to enter those multiple times. So but again, the number of pools and the number of athletes inside those challenger and pro pools will be dependent on how many entries we get. And so again, it's just a great opportunity for those of you that do fit into that challenger classification to rope against those that are challengers as well and have their earnings under those values.
So the whole idea behind the challenger concept is again, as I mentioned at the top here, to try to get more people, to get more people, doing it, and to give them more opportunities to win. And so I've actually called and talked to some of these ladies who we don't have data on, and most of them have a similar story. They used to breakaway rope or team rope in high school and college, and then they got married and they started a family or they started a professional career, and there wasn't enough opportunity or incentive for them to keep pursuing it, and so they stopped. Well, then, breakaway roping being a great example, now there's all these opportunities for them, and so now they got to train a horse, and so now they're trying to season a horse. And so it's, when I talk to them, they say, well, it's hard enough to beat some of these gals that do it day in and day out, much less to be seasoning a horse at the same time. And so the idea of the challenger is, we didn't invent that. Team roping, barrel racing, they've capitalized on that for the last couple decades now by basically handicapping the field to say everybody's not equal in their skill, and so we're going to create different classes. The model that we sort of followed for this first version of it is more geared towards like cutting and reining and working cow horse, where they have a pro and non-pro, and it's all determined on money won. And so it's not anybody in the office saying, well, boy, she ropes good, I think she should be a pro and she should be a challenger. It's completely objective, and it's only based on money won at this point. And so if you'll notice in the breakaway rope and the earnings that would determine whether you're a challenger or a pro, they go down the further back in time you go, and that's totally just reflective on the amount of opportunity that breakaway roping had, the amount of opportunity that they had to win money in previous years. And so in the breakaway roping, for instance, we have 1,700 breakaway ropers in our database that we have tracked earnings on for up to the last 5 years. And so we have an exhaustive list of these statistics on these breakaway ropers that we feel like there's, there are certainly more than 2 groups of skill levels in breakaway roping. And I feel like that in coming years, we'll be able to refine it down to, 2 levels of challengers or maybe 3. But, at this point, just like it's hard enough to understand all this stuff that's new anyways, at first pass. And so we've said, okay, if you've won 8,000 or more this year, you're considered a pro. Just put it just plainly and simply as possible. And there were ladies who entered the NBC breakaway roping as a challenger that were close to the line and went up there and did just what they were supposed to do. They were the best challenger that day, and then they graduated out of that. And that's something to be. Look, now you're a pro. And then that just opens up a spot for somebody new who's up and coming or trying to get back into it to have a chance to win. And so everybody knows, and when they show up to the Open, if they don't have to go against the pros and they get a chance to get a couple runs behind the barrier and win some money and get on a heater, well, then they can enter the Open, turn around, have some momentum, and who knows? There's no stopping them. But at least it gives them that opportunity, and I believe it's going to bring a lot more people to the sport than we've previously seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to add to couple things. Number one, we do have an earnings classification update for the Women's Rodeo World Championship. So as of September 16th, that will be the date where we run the earnings reports. We draw the line of who's challenger, who's pro. And so for those of you that have already entered, just know that, that September 16th deadline is coming for us to determine the classifications. And then we'll be in contact with everybody to then, start creating those pools and start setting everything up. But then it won't be final until entries end on October 18th.
So here's a, for instance, scenario. Sammy Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. If you had entered today and then you went to Oklahoma's Richest and you entered as a challenger and you went to Oklahoma's Richest and you won over $8,000, then when the books are closed for the Women's Rodeo World Championship, basically, and the new earnings report is generated, would you move then to the pro? We would just move your entry fee over to the pros, or what would happen?
No, so Oklahoma's Richest earnings will not count because we're cutting the earnings off as of September 16th, and Oklahoma's Richest happens after that date. So any earnings earned after September 16th will not be counted towards your classification.
But if you won $8,000 tomorrow, it would.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a couple questions I'd like for y'all to answer, Sammy Joe or Bobby, whoever wants to grab it. But Cheyenne, again, I don't know that we really answered this.
Yeah. Will you pull up the progressions? One of the progressions, probably for the.
Absolutely.
I think Cheyenne is a barrel racer. Cheyenne, comment if you're not.
I think that's a barrel saddle in her profile picture, so I will pull that up.
So this is a great question, and I do think we should clarify how where the challenger fits, right? So Cheyenne makes a good point. She's already been nominating. She's on the leaderboard. It's likely she'll be in the top 64 advancing to the Women's Rodeo World Championship. The challenger is only on that open to the world side. So for the WCRA leaderboard, the top 64, 5 through 64 on the leaderboard will compete against each other in the 2 runs, regardless of whether they're a challenger or a pro. But then on that open to the world side, the challenger and pro pools will only be inside of that qualifier round. And then as you move on to the redemption round or the progressive round, then everybody competes against each other at that point. So that challenger and pro, that is only for those entering the open to the world pool, and it's only inside of those qualifying rounds.
And I'll show this. This will help a little bit. Is this how you'd like to show it?
This kind of also helps explain how many pools there could be within the pro and the challenger pools. As I meant, this example is based off of 300 entries. So then 100 in the pro division, 200 in the challenger division. So there would be one pool A of the pros of 100 athletes, and then pool B would have 100 in the challenger. Pool C would have 100 in the challenger. Those pools then of athletes compete against each other and move on into the progressive round. So we won't have this 100% finalized of how many athletes will compete inside each pool until entries close October 18th. But keep in mind, we're going to do our very best to keep the pools as even as possible.
Great. Thanks for your question, Cheyenne. There's another question there, if you want to take a look at it, Sammy Joe, from Michelle Wilson.
So Michelle's asking, are there leaderboard entries for challengers who have received points at challenger events, or do the challengers only enter the pools?
So this is a little bit in line with the question that we just got asked. And so basically what they're all asking is if they're qualified into the leaderboard, is there anything special for the challengers in the leaderboard? And the answer in 2020, no. We don't, although in 2021 we kind of recognize the need to have different ways for the challengers to advance. But currently, the benefits to the challenger lie at the physical event, like this upcoming one, October 9th, or the Oklahoma's Richest, where there's specific challenger ropings that only they're eligible to compete in, and then the open of the world qualifying pools. And so if you're already qualified through the leaderboard, you can continue on that route, and you can also go over and enter the challenger pool and the open qualifying pools and compete over there. And because remember, the whole goal is to advance to the main event. And so whatever route you take to get to the main event, it doesn't make any difference, because once you get there, it's a clean slate. And so that's up for you to choose which route is going to best suit you. But if you're already qualified through the WCRA leaderboard through points, then you can take that qualification and you can show up without any entry fees and compete there. And you can also compete and progress through the challenger if you didn't do good in the leaderboard. Is that accurate, Sam and Joe?
Yeah, exactly. So I think if we can, Bobby, I think we need to talk about these last chance qualifiers that we're going to have in the breakaway roping, because this is pretty important and we haven't really touched on this yet. Do you want me to take it?
Okay. You want me? Well, so remind me of the date, because I don't have it in front of me. Okay.
For each event. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. So October 16th.
Correct.
October 16th is basically these last chance qualifiers, which will happen at the Oklahoma's Richest in the breakaway roping. And so if you're in the breakaway roping and you're in the bottom, if you're say in the bottom 20 of the leaderboard, or you're 20 or 30 out of it, like, you probably need to be at this event, because it's going to have an impact on the leaderboard. You can go there and increase your standing on the leaderboard, or you go there and, I believe somebody could go from not having any standing on the leaderboard to go there and do well in the challenger and the open and advance up into the middle of the leaderboard. And remember, the name of the game is to get there, because if you're inside that 64, there's no entry fees, and you have a great path with basically a backup, as you could still enter open. And so that's the goal. And so if you're in the leaderboard, like, in the effort of us communicating better, this is us trying to communicate better, and we'll send out all kinds of things on social media and graphics as well that will explain that this is expanded points. You must enter through entrytool.com. The discounted nomination is included in that entry. The winner will earn a fast track qualification. And if you go in round one and your calf runs and you go catch them at the back end and you're the 19th fastest time, you're going to get points. And if you come back on your second one and catch them in the middle and you're the 15th fastest time, you're going to get points. And you make the short round and knock one down and place in the average, or even just out of place in the average, you're going to get points. And so it's a significant stop, and I would kind of urge everybody to go.
And with that, if you haven't said it, just a reminder, because the nomination is included in the entry fee, when you win both the Challenger Open and the Open Open, we're going to be giving away 2 fast track spots into the fast track into the women's finals from this Oklahoma's Richest Roping. This is a first-year event. Chris Neal Productions, Rising Stars, and Las Vegas Stars, and all of his other events. It's going to be first class. Going to have a big match roping between Jackie Crawford and an unknown roper that everybody's voting on Sunday. And then on Saturday, Shad Mayfield and Haven Medjid is going to be roping. And it's got a bunch of money added in the open side. It's $10,000 added on the breakaway. And I believe $10,000 added in the tie down. I'm looking at it here. Is that right? I think that's right.
But how awesome is that? All that added money and new opportunity. This is an event that wasn't on the calendar before. And so this is a prime example of the demand that's been created by, just in a couple year process of the demand that's been created. And I think that women's rodeo can continue to see this kind of growth, if we do it right. So
then the other roping, let's talk about.
Bear with us. If we
go ahead, Bobby.
Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about the
other. Cut out for a second. Go ahead to the.
Yeah, let's pull up the other last chance roping here in the breakaway.
Let's reiterate one more time why these are last chance. So for both Chris Neal's event and now Rope for the Roses, which will be in Alva, Oklahoma, October 18th, both of these events you can enter now up until October, right around October 11th, right? So yeah, for sure, Rope for the Roses closes October 11th at 5 p.m.
So Oklahoma's Richest closes September 30th. Sorry, Sammy Joe, but it closes September 30th.
Thank you. Yeah. So September 30th for Oklahoma's Richest, October 11th for Rope for the Roses. Both event entries close before the October 11th VRQ cutoff. You have to be entered for your nomination to count for points to be received to count towards the women's segment leaderboard. So definitely great opportunity and events that we hope all of you put on your calendar and plan to head to. This event here, Rope for the Roses, Stockton Graves team is putting it on, like I said, in Alva. It's $10,000 added. Entry fees are $550. And again, same here. Your entry includes the nomination and the win you're in qualification to the 2020 Women's Rodeo World Championship. So definitely check these events out, put them on your calendars.
It's important to point out, though, that this Rope for the Roses does not have a challenger and does not offer expanded points. And correct. So it's just an open. It's a great open with a lot of money, but no expanded points. And so you'll earn points based on paid places only, and no challenger. And then in the team open, throw the October 9th event back up on there.
Yes, sir.
Good thinking,
a really great opportunity for the team open. Kenny Zamora and his team, they've agreed to put on with this same format, an open and a challenger, 2 rounds, short round and an average, pick one, draw one, discounted nominations, included. Again, with fast track qualifiers. And so, and this one will award expanded points. And so this is going to be a significant stop. So a good place to go and catch all your cattle and earn a lot of points.
Absolutely. And all 3 of these events you can enter at entrytool.com.
Yeah, I was going to circle that and I saw it, but then I lost it there.
The entry tool?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're almost right on it. It's that number 1 right there.
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah. I thought I was right there. There we go.
And
yeah,
so
enter through.
As we're talking about upcoming events, there's 2 other events that are what we would call a nominate, win, and you're in, which is something that we're going to slowly kind of surely phase out and focus on these fast track qualifiers. But the Stockyards Championship Rodeo, September 11th and 12th. There's the barrel racing is a nominate, win, and you're in. And so we don't take the entries for that. You would have to enter through the regular means of entering it and go to VRQ app.wcrarodeo.com and nominate that. And then the John Wayne Hampton Memorial Breakaway Rope on September 30th. That's going to be a great breakaway roping also, as well as a nominate, win, you're in. And so you will have to have went to app.wcrarodeo.com and nominated yourself prior to competing at that one to earn that nominate, win, you're in qualification. But that'll land you in that fast track, and that'll sort of be the end of the nominate, win, you're in opportunities, as far as I know, especially for this year. And so, but great opportunities. And so even if you're not on the board right now, there's a bunch of chances to get on there. And you just need to land yourself inside that top 64 and give yourself a chance to go. And if you say, I live in Washington and there's no events to go to right now because of COVID restrictions and, not a lot of opportunities, good news, you can just load up and come down there in November to Las Vegas to the Women's Rodeo World Championship and enter twice open. And if you fit the challenger category and you've won less than the noted amount, then you have a chance to enter that way. Or if you're a pro, you can go that way. But you don't have to have any points if you want to go roll up there and pay your entry fees. And those entries are open right now.
Dale just wanted to remind us that the
John Wayne Hampton event is this weekend. Yeah.
This weekend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good luck to all those girls.
Absolutely. Sammy Joe, did you want me to pull up what did you want me to pull up?
I think we've done a really good job hitting on everything. I think next week, JD, we could maybe deep dive again. The planning calls you talked about, I got my notes right here where we really broke out what rounds will actually go in order. And I think that's something that could be really good information for everyone so tune in next week. We'll hit on some more topics to walk you through this event. But as we're talking about what entries are open, don't forget, you can be nominating today to advance through the leaderboard, but you can also go to entrytool.com and enter yourself in the Open to the World pools. You get a max of 2 entries on the Open to the World side per discipline and 1 entry on the leaderboard side per discipline. And do not forget about that all-around $20,000 bonus. For those of you girls that have been, breakaway roping and team roping and maybe even have a barrel horse hidden back there in your stalls, don't forget about that because that bonus is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And I just thought I would pull up again to remind everybody, hopefully you can see it, but $60,000 first, $20,000 second per discipline, 4 disciplines, breakaway, heading, heeling, and barrel racing. Okay, equal money in all 4 disciplines. It's a big deal. Team ropers for years fought to get equal money, and in some rodeos, some places they still don't have it, I believe. So we wanted to come right out of the gate and fought honestly pretty hard. And our focus group, the leaders in women's rodeo, fought and felt very strongly, and they fought for that. And so we're excited to offer equal money in all 4 disciplines. Look at that money paid out in the main event. Again, $20,000 bonus, as Sammy Joe just alluded to. The main event is November 7th, where 24 athletes will compete and then whittle them down to the championship round of 6. They'll go head-to-head in that. And one thing that I would like to bring up is some dates just to keep in mind here. So we have some entry closing dates that you ought to have on your radar for this event. And let me pull this up. Basically, nominations to get in on the WCRA leaderboard is open through October 11th at 11:59 p.m. Central Time, and the open entries are open until October 18th. at 11:59 Central Time. The early and midterm entry discounted entries are closed, and so it's $750. Go ahead and get you a spot. Correct me if I'm wrong. First to enter, last to rope. Is that correct, Sammy Joe?
I believe so. And then it's for on the open to the world side, yes. And in the barrel racing, first to enter, first on the drag.
First to run. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So and then for those that are, in the top 64 of the leaderboard as of, October 11th for team roping and barrel racing, we won't have the leaderboard finalized until that Monday. I believe it's October 19th or 20th, once we finalize the last chance qualifier points. But then we will actually open entries for those of you competing in the leaderboard October 20th through the 22nd.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for hanging with us. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Sammy Joe. If there's no further questions, or Bobby, do you have any parting thoughts or words for us before we sign off?
We get a lot of questions lately about, with Las Vegas, obviously the NFR moved, what's at us on Las Vegas. We're not a ticketed event, although we are going to hold it in conjunction with the PBR World Finals. And so we are partners with the PBR, but all systems go at this point. We have backup dates and locations, but we don't anticipate having to use them. And so there's a lot about this year with COVID and governments regulating what live events can and can't do that makes it really interesting. Our goal is to.
We lost him.
He was frozen on the screen, and he was really getting ready to drop it. I think what he was going to say, because I've heard him say it a few times, is we're connected and we're partners with PBR, and we're staying in Vegas as long as they're in Vegas. And right now they're in Vegas, and we do have backup dates and backup plans in the event that we had to use them. But this event is happening, so I think he's trying to come back in.
Yeah,
there he is. There he is.
Not service.
All right.
Anyways, the goal is to have it as advertised, and there isn't anything right now that would indicate that we can't. And so, as soon as if something changes, then we'll let y'all know. But we have backup dates, backup locations if something falls apart. But our all systems go at this point.
Great. All right. Tell me you ate at Uncle Julio's in Fort Worth today, did you?
No, sorry.
Oh, man. What a bummer. All right. Well, thanks for everybody's time. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you. Reach out if you have any questions, the 800 number that I flashed up previously, or support@WCRArodeo.com, and Sammy Joe and her team will take great care of you. So thanks, and see you down the road.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.